Hey guys, what up? This is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Legacies, episode 202, titled This Year Will Be Different, which premiered Thursday, October 17, 2019 on the CW. I'm recording roughly after midnight. Technically, what's October 19th, so it's a little bit over 24 hours since the episode was aired. So, huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. My other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. I just want to do a quick shout out to Maria Lira on YouTube for their comments on my previous video. I truly appreciate it. I'll probably respond once this has been uploaded. I'm not like constantly logged into YouTube, even though I'm on YouTube a lot. But yeah, so expect my responses very shortly after this has been posted. But anyways, I'm going to try to do this in 20 minutes. Let's start the clock and let's begin with what happened in 202. So first off, episode quote, "This year will be different," was said by Headmaster Vardamus to the students during his welcoming speech to them. So there's that. Timeline-wise, it is a week since the events of 201. So 201 ended with Hope being confronted by one of the monsters from Malivore. And she says in the episode that she's been tracking it down for about a week. So there's that. It also begs to question how she was living during that week, since she doesn't have a home. No one remembers her. She has no money, So that's a huge question right there. Episode reminder, though, is the fact that this is when an episode that really hits Hope that not only is she alone, but she can't do things alone. Alone in the fact that nobody remembers her, no one's missing her, but also she's realizing that she can't do things on her own. Like, she can't just be a lone wolf anymore, type of thing. So that's how I'm going to remember the episode, that is, for sure. Also, you can remember it being like the first day of school, both for the Salvatore School as well as for Mystic High. So that's a reminder there. Future creature is going to be the Cyclops, which was mistaken a lot of the time as a troll, and he had purple blood for some reason. Also, it's still unclear whether or not who the Cyclops was targeting, if it was targeting Hope because Malivore wants Hope killed, so that he can get rid of his greatest threat, or if it's because the monsters were after Landon because the Malivore still needs Landon as its vessel onto this world. So they didn't really make it clear which of the two the monsters were targeting. Because they did point out in this episode that last time they were targeting the artifacts or the keys that were to unlock Malivore. Now they need something new to target. So there's that. Episode breakdowns, or the storylines of the episode, I'm picking up on 3 different ones. First one being the hunting down of the Cyclops. Second one being the semester of yes. And the third one being the adjusting to many firsts of the episode. So the first storyline mainly focuses on Hope trying to hunt down the Cyclops. She gets help from Principal Alaric at the Mystic High, even though he doesn't remember who she is, though he does figure out that he somehow knows her. Like, he figured out that his muscle memory to the fact that they fought together before, and that leads him to conclude that she must be from Malivore, since he knows that Malivore is a place that erases memory. So he's trying to, he knows her as that, but he can't remember the actual memories he had associated with her. So we'll get more to that later. With the semester of yes, we get this being Lizzie's new motto, and she's trying to be more open to these things, which leads to not only her inadvertently accepting a date with MG, which doesn't go to plan for him, but this leads her to meeting Sebastian out by the old mill, which is the new vampire we've been teased about. So there's that. We also see Caleb coaching MG into asking Lizzie out and confessing his feelings as part of their best semester ever motto. Doesn't really go to plan, as MG kind of like takes a step back after Lizzie confesses that she may have a huge crush on this new Sebastian guy. So there's that. Now, with my adjusting to semester first, or not semester first, adjusting to first in general, we do get the return to school. So we do get new headmaster Vardamus. So the Salvatore School has to deal with that type of change there. We do also see Alaric having to deal with the new start as principal of Mystic High. There's also the new start for Hope being in a world that doesn't remember her. There's also the first in regards to Josie and Landon, their first date, the first day back at school as a potential couple, and then kind of having like their first real conversation after the whole jealousy issues and stuff like that, and like trying to find their place with each other. So there's a bunch of firsts happening in this episode. So there's that. Last scene of the episode is showing a guy being murdered in the cemetery by that red cloaked figure, and then the dead guy has the symbol of Malabar carved into his head. So that's gruesome end there. I don't know if this is supposed to be Clark now or if it's still the same red cloaked person that we got in the premiere episode. So we'll have to wait and see about that. I still think it's either Professor Vardamus or if it's actually the new sheriff. I feel like it's definitely someone we've already seen on screen already. Whether or not we're fully introduced to them or not is the question. So there is that. New characters or characters in general we're going to talk about. Well, majority of them are new. So we get Maya, which is a student that Hope meets at Mystic High School in the bathroom, just when she was about finished from almost breaking down with running into Alaric, I believe. But she's also the girl that offered Hope new clothes to boost her confidence when Hope said that she was getting emotional over quote-unquote boy troubles. So there's that. We also meet Ethan, who is also a new student at Mystic High, and he actually runs into Hope in the hallway before Hope runs into Alaric. And he looks like he's possibly a potential football player, but she does run into him again in the boys' locker room. A little bit of banter there going on, so that's something there. What's the guy's name? I think his name's Leo Howard. I remember him from Kicking It, though, the Disney karate show. So there's that. Another character being Headmaster Vardamus or Professor Vardamus. He seems to be all about appearances. He's definitely in the mindset of empowering the supernatural to overcome the humans instead of the whole living peacefully among them that Alaric was dealing with for them. But Vardamus wants to bring the students out of the shadows. He also shares that he wants to start advanced studies for specific students, Josie being the first, and he entices her with this new advanced curriculum. So there's that. And then we do get also Sebastian being a new face on campus that Lizzy finds herself enamored with. Teasers have led that he is supposed to be a 600-year-old vampire, though that's not stated at this point in the show. She doesn't know anything more than his name and the response they had with each other. But to put in perspective, Sebastian being 600-year-old vampire, I'm pretty sure that's a lot older than Catherine, because we got introduced to Catherine when she was just over 500 years old. So, yeah. But for Sebastian, he immediately reminded me of like the next Damon Salvatore with like his charm and his suave, but then his old school type of like way of speaking reminds me of like Alaric, or not Alaric, fudge. It reminds me of the Michelsons. It reminds me of Elijah. It reminds me of Cole. It reminds me of Klaus. Whenever they're trying to put on the charm, or whenever they're talking, like the way they held themselves with being like very old school, which is obvious since he's 600 years old, but it just felt like it was a mix between Damon and the Michelsons. That's like what, and then I get Sebastian out of that. So just like, I'm all for it, and I'll get into that in a moment. So let's move on to tidbits very quickly. We find out that Josie is actually allergic to seaweed. Yeah, seaweed. So eating sushi, it should be out of the question for her, but she does it anyways because she knew that Landon was really excited about it. So her stomach wasn't agreeing with her there. We do find out that Hope has a conversation we do see Hope having a conversation with Landon, and this is where he actually gives her his milkshake, which he doesn't understand why he purchased it to begin with, but it turns out to be actually Hope's go-to order when it comes to milkshakes, so that really gets her in the feels there. So at least on some subconscious level, he does remember her. He just hasn't connected the dots yet for it. So there's that. Like I mentioned before, MG accepts Lizzy's desire to pursue Sebastian since she has this overwhelming crush. She does reveal why she's more interested in Sebastian, just because of... Well, I'll get to that later. Yeah, I'll get to it now. She mentions that she likes Sebastian not knowing her and that it feels like a fresh start to her, while MG confessed to Caleb that he likes Lizzy because he confesses to Caleb that he doesn't just like Lizzy, but he loves every aspect of her. He knows the good, the bad, and the ugly, and he still likes her like he does. So it's just like two sides of the spectrum there. So we do see that. We do also find out that Alaric doesn't have access to the boarding school's resources anymore. Even though despite this, MG will still come when Alaric calls, and he even confessed like that he still thinks of Alaric as his headmaster, which I thought was so sweet. But yeah, so that's something there. But moving on to the most shocking moment of the episode, I will have to say that it was Hope confessing to Alaric who she truly is, because she does introduce herself as Hope Marshall using her mom's maiden name. But then she does, by the end of the episode, say that I'm Hope Michelson, I'm the daughter of Klaus and Haley. And like just going through the whole spiel of like what she's lost, how she's dealing with it, how she's all alone, how she doesn't know what's going to happen next. Why this is my most shocking moment is because I didn't expect it to happen in episode 2. While yes, I'm wishing that it happened sooner so she's not as alone for as long. So that's why kind of it was a shock, because I kind of thought I'd be getting this conversation further down in the episode order as opposed to in number 2. So that's why it's a shock there. But let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. As you know from my season 1 videos, there's always going to be Hope and Alaric being a favorite, but this episode truly puts it in focus. Not only do they have their own storyline when they're teaming up together, but it's just like, it's so much on another level, because it's like you have them teaming up, and then you also have it being like muscle memory to the fact that Alaric, who doesn't remember who Hope is, his body still remembers how they work together as a team. So that was just great right there. Also, we got the fact that Hope got very emotional just running into him and having this actually feeling what it's like to not be remembered in person type of a thing, if that makes sense. And she's trying to, like, it really hurts her, and you could feel that it hurts her. And why wouldn't it? Because also later on when, I'm getting ahead of myself, but also, okay, so and then also another thing was that Alaric offered, without knowing who she was, when he first gets the file about her being Hope Marshall and kind of like absentee parents, he offers to help her out if there's ever an issue at home. And you can see that she's trying to keep it together. And it's just like he immediately felt like he wanted to be there for her before fighting alongside her, before her confession, and he just offers that, and then like that really hits her, and that's where the emotion starts, where she's trying to hold it back and really feeling for the first time what it is she truly lost, not just from with losing Landon to Josie and them pursuing a new relationship together, but then she later confessed that Alaric's the closest thing she has to a father, and when she admits who she is as an identity, her breaking down was not only heartbreaking, but it was just absolutely, it was absolutely amazing. Not just for like the fact it was a heartbreak, but the performance behind it. Danielle did an amazing job conveying like how much she had bottled up inside for Hope, and just like how much it was just affecting her now. And then also Alaric's reaction to that. Matt did an amazing job, but to see Alaric not only taking all this in, but on his face you can see like, oh crap, like you can see him getting emotional too. And like, it's gotta be difficult, the fact that there's this kid in front of you saying that you have like 10 years of history with her, and yet you suddenly don't remember anything, yet to her you are close to a father as she would ever have, and then knowing who Klaus is, right? So it's just like to see that, and then to have them have that hug, it's just like, oh, that really concluded the Hope and Alaric feels I was getting. It's like, yes, give me that theoretical father-daughter going right there. And then also she told him to keep the beard, which I thought was funny because the twins don't like his beard. So it's just like, yes, you know how I feel about Hope potentially being like his third daughter. So it's like, I'm living it. I'm living this. I'm living for this. So there's that. Another favorite I did have was Lizzy meeting Sebastian. Oh my god, took my breath away. It was, like I said before, Sebastian was like a Damon 2.0 with a little mix of Michelson charm in there. Especially because, like, specifically when he calls her Elizabeth after she introduces herself as Lizzy, he purposely calls her Elizabeth, which was a huge reminder for the Michelsons because they always went with the full names of people. It was just like, if it wasn't Catherine, it was always Katerina. If it was that the only? Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest instant. Oh, with Rose, it was always Rosemarie. Um, Annabelle, though I don't think their paths crossed at all now that I think about it, though. But the Michelsons always had the tendency of using the full official name of the person, being more formal to them, than sticking with nicknames. Whereas for Damon, you'd always find him picking nicknames, probably stupid little nicknames, but it's always in the same guise of the fact with these two sets of characters, they always picked a name that wasn't common. So they always differentiated themselves from everybody else. So if everybody is like, my friends, so it's pretty much like with MG, right? He says, my friends call me MG, but if that one person is calling you Milton, it's like, well, why are you calling me Milton? And it's just kind of like, no one else is calling me that, but you kind of like differentiate yourself from everybody. So that was like something that immediately I noticed that Sebastian was doing right there, which I thought was pretty cool. And it's definitely going to, because now Lizzy doesn't like her name Elizabeth, and now that he's calling her Elizabeth, it's going to get her liking the name a little more, liking the fact that he's the only one that calls her that. It's like, I'm rambling, but it's like, I could watch their scenes so many times and still get my heart pounding. I'm with Lizzy in that moment there. I'm just as excited for her. But also the fact that I do understand her idea of wanting a fresh start, and the fact that going after Sebastian would get her that fresh start because he doesn't know all the troubles that she's had. He doesn't know all the bad that she's been ashamed of. So I can understand wanting her to start fresh, but then there's going to be some point where her past is going to have to show itself in front of him. So that's a little something there. I think for Lizzy, when it comes to how, like, her idea of having a fresh start, I think it's going to come down to her trying to accept all parts of herself and not be ashamed of those aspects of her that she's trying to heal. Like, yes, she should try to heal or at least get better control of that part of her, but to kind of write it all off is not really healthy. Or it's not really a good way to start the healing process. So it's just like, I feel like that's going to be like the balance she's going to have to try to find, which she did a good job at the beginning of the episode of showcasing that there is progress there. So there's that. Also, I did notice, I don't know if it's just me overreaching though, but the way that Lizzy reacts to, I was about to say Damon. Wow. The way that Lizzy reacts to Sebastian really reminds me of Carol in the Vampire Diaries when Caroline first sets her eyes on Damon in episode 102. She's like, once she sees him, she's like, oh, I gotta have him type of thing. All before the whole vampire discovery came between the two of them. But it's just like, she wanted him, she went after him, and then she had the unfortunate mishap with Vampire Damon in that moment. But the introduction of, like, the two of them kind of paralleled in a sense, or at least I got a little deja vu moment for that. So that was something there. Also, Damon and Stefan were specifically mentioned in this episode by Lizzy when she was explaining to Sebastian just where he was. He was at the Salvatore boarding school named after Damon and Stefan Salvatore. So that's something there. I'm actually wondering if Sebastian would know the names, considering he's been around for 600 years, but then I don't know how long he's been desiccated for. So that's something there. But anyways, moving on to my last favorite moment of the episode. I will have to say it is between Josie and Landon. I'm still trying to get on. They are cute when they're a couple, but then it really hurts me when I think about Hope and Landon. But like with Josie and Landon in particular in this episode that I liked was the fact that they talked after their awful first date and first day of being around everybody while after having their kiss. It was just like, I really liked that they had a conversation and they actually had an understanding of not only what was going on between them, but also what was going on with themselves, and how Josie confessed on the fact that she's codependent. She doesn't know how to be codependent, and she doesn't know where she what her place is in his life if he doesn't need her. And then he talks about how, like, where he stands, where he's coming from, and how they're both going to have to make a little changes to adjust to being a couple together. So it's just a really mature conversation that they had that I truly appreciated. I mean, it's like, it's definitely, I could definitely get on board with them if I forget about Hope and Landon, but then it's easy to go back to that and, like, remember the fact that he's moving on when he doesn't remember that he's got a girl that's in love with him, type of thing. But, like, I'm not going to take it away from them, but Josie and Landon's conversation together at that point was really mature. I truly appreciate it. I like how there was progress in that and how that they were able to come to an understanding. So that's something there. Moving on to top 3 peeved moments. First peeve, it's a slight peeve, and it was the fact that Landon, he was pretty much at the fight with the Cyclops and Hope and Alaric, and yet he was just sitting there doodling or writing and listening to music. It just really bugs me just a bit that the whole fight scene happened behind him, and his music was loud enough that he couldn't hear anything. I mean, really? I would have loved it if Landon just turned around, and there's the timer, and he would just be able to see Hope in action. Just get those gears going. It's like, wait a minute. Is something coming to me? Am I remembering something? Why does that look familiar, type of thing? I wanted to see her in action. It's like, yes, thankfully they got that bench scene afterwards, but now he just thinks that she's just some regular kid, right? With boy troubles as well. So that's a slight peeve there, just small. Another peeve I have is the fact that I feel like Headmaster Vardamus is going to plan a supernatural uprising against the humans. I feel like he's going to be the opposite of what Alaric is. Alaric was trying to protect the students. He's trying to look after them. And then Vardamus, I think he's going to try to pretty much raise the students to believe that they're superior to humans, so that they feel like, kind of like pushing the mindset backwards, if you were, and try to get them to be the predators again, with humans being the prey. At least that's the vibe I'm getting, or maybe I'm just overreaching. I have no idea. So there's that. And the last peeve I did have was the fact that Alaric said that he was cut off from the resources of the boarding school. That ticks me off because he's the one that funded and founded the place. I mean, how could he not have access? How could he not be allowed to stay there when he started the whole thing? All because he got voted out of the headmaster position, which I still don't think he should have happened for him. I think he should still be employed with the school, like a vice principal type of a thing. But now I'm questioning, where does he live? Because I'm assuming he used to live at the boarding school, since that's where the twins are living, right? Or do they have a separate house that they also live at or something, right? I'm kind of hoping if I would get his apartment back from the Vampire Diaries, you know? Anyways, so that was a peeve there. That I'm still pissed that Alaric got cut out of the school to begin with. So that's something there. But let's move on to random questions very quickly. First one, does anyone get the impression that Headmaster Vardamus encouraging Josie to do some advanced magical learning? Does anyone else think that that is going to parallel the storyline in the Vampire Diaries with Bonnie being mentored by Atticus Shane and learning expression magic, only for that to take her down a dark path, which happened in season 4 of the Vampire Diaries? For some reason, I'm getting that vibe. I don't know if that's the intention or if that's what I need to get my worries in line for, but I'm wondering if anyone else got that vibe as well. Next question is, has no one remembered about Raphael? Did Hope forget about the fact that there's a wolf version of Raphael roaming around? And I think I saw this in a comment with Maria. I'm not really sure. Probably up on screen if I go double check it now, but the correction will be up on screen, was that Hope doesn't know that Raphael is a wolf. I don't think that's the case, because she told him that in order for his split mind to become one again, he would have to become a wolf, like she told him to. And then she did warn him that if he were to do that, she would be the only one to change him back. So she had to know on some level that he would have done it, because otherwise he would risk going insane, right? So it's like, she already forget that that's what she told him? Or will seeing Wolf Raphael jumpstart her memory and say, oh crap, I forgot you might have done this type of thing, and go fix it? Because like it's kind of unfair. He's suffering from what Haley had to do in, like, what was it, season 2? Season 3? Season 3 of the originals, when Haley was forced for a summer to be stuck in her wolf form. Also, is Raphael like stuck as a wolf like all the time, or is it kind of like the reverse curse on the Crescents, where like on the full moon he's able to turn into a human, and then the rest of the time he's a wolf? I'm thinking if that was the case, then maybe he would have been able to tell everybody what he remembered or didn't remember. No, that didn't make sense. But if he were able to turn back into a human even for a day, I think he would have used that to tell everybody, like, this is how you fix it, or this is what's happening. He's like, I don't know what, like, kind of like assess what's going on and report back to everybody. But I don't get the feeling that he's able to turn back on the full moon. Just like the reverse curse thing. So that's something there. Last question. Is there a way to unlock those memories of hope? Because I'd really hate it for everyone to lose them completely, especially Alaric and the twins, who have at least 10 years of memories with Hope, whether they're good, they're bad, or they're ugly. They had 10 years of knowing her. And just to have that all gone and have all that progress and a growth between all of them, it's just, it's going to suck. I mean, I want that history back. That's, like, I love that, but there's got to be a way to just unlock those memories. They can't be completely gone forever. Or maybe that's why Freya comes in episode 6, to allow for them to truly unlock. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see about that. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 203, I wrote the wrong number here. For episode 203, it looks like we have the rivalry game between the boarding school, the Salvatore School, and Mystic Falls High. We also see some monster in the woods some kind of monster in the woods that is feeding on werewolves. Ooh, maybe that's when they'll remember about Raphael, because he would be he'd be a huge target right there. But the synopsis for the episode reads, as the Salvatore School prepares for its annual football game against Mystic Falls High, the latest monster to arrive in Mystic Falls sets its sights on one of the students. Landon and Josie's relationship is put to the test when a player from the opposing team catches his eye. I think that's Hope. But anyways, elsewhere, Lizzy enlists MG's help learning more about Sebastian, and Alaric goes head-to-head with Professor Vardamus. I think it's a little cruel that Lizzy's asking MG for help about Sebastian, because it seemed like in 202 she was under the impression that she knew that he had feelings for her. And yet she's asking him to do this. That seems a little harsh. Even though he said what are friends for, that's still a little harsh. So soon afterwards, you know? But new student on the football player team of the opposing side has to be Hope. At least that's what the promo was insinuating. So there's that. But yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. So what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts, theories, and predictions about all that fun stuff. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. Link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, coach gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all in one place, so check that out. I am behind. I'm still trying to get used to the school schedule, so hopefully once I do that, I can ease in the video schedule and the Tumblr schedule in there. So, yeah, be patient about that, pretty please. But otherwise, yeah, WordPress account, link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. It's a little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress once again. Otherwise, that is pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next time to see what they say about the next episode. But until then, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.